dun 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 dun. Do do do. A diddle diddle do. Da da da. Ah, interesting. All right, let's try that. You're coming with me. Oh, I thought somebody made this. I was like, what? I'm sorry, what? Alright, not that far away. We do need to make sure we're not hovering over. Evidently, we want to be careful. Is this going to damage my vehicle? Nope. Okay, great. We want to make sure we're not going over any of those red circles, because that could kind of ruin our day. It could really ruin our day. I don't want to do that. I don't. You know? Boink. See, I feel like lowering the levels didn't fix it at all. I think it just made it to where you can't hear them as easily. I think that's what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It's like a processing loading problem or something. Holy fuck. Okay, found the problem. Jesus. Why are there 17 instances of Chrome? Holy shit. I have 2 tabs open. Wait. Oh my god. Okay, well, there's the problem. Jesus. Jesus. Excuse me, you're in my way? Oh, right. Since we figured that out. Ba 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 ba. Oh, it is back up. Okay. Dunk. Alright, we'll let this guy know what we found out. Hopefully he gives us some sort of bounty. I mean, we have probably plenty of other opportunities for that, but that would just make it a little easier, you know? Le Pew.
Welcome back.
Hi, thank
if
you.
You're eager for work.
Contract complete.
Well played. Such subtlety proves you're ready.
I'm ready to take my place in your organization to the next level.
Agreed. You've shown unusual promise.
Not unusual.
However, the War of
How
Assassins is a sea of treachery, and I require one more show of loyalty to House Atreides.
What can I do to prove my loyalty?
I would like... Good.
I just
now let's
skipped
get
that on
this
accident,
off
but I
our
committed,
backs
so we're
so
good.
we can properly investigate this Skorda mystery.
How should I go about that?
Maximum Samuda addiction is known. I had a tracker put on the person I suspect is his
Pay them a
supplier.
visit with any luck.
Go
Even
to the
bandits
last
keep
recorded
records.
coordinates.
Okay,
Dig up
bandits.
Anything. Here's your contract.
Banditos. Great. Perfect. We have to go back and investigate. Okay, that's the last note. Location. Second observation. So this area, though, they're not messing around. So do I have nothing else? I have this one. Locate the cache. Let's do this. Let's do this. Wrap that up. A level 44. Do. While we're here, let's go ahead and test out this bad boy. Right about... Wait, what? No. You come back. Kabooyah. Do, 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 do. There was a note here. Where'd it go? Oi. And it feels so good. Nice. That's all I wanted to do. Alright, now we test out the weapons. Let's go. Do, 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 do. Ow. Vroom vroom. Oh. Okay, where we go? Oh, okay. Kind of just hug the little island there that we have our base at, and we'll be good to go. Just got to get around this. Oh my god, I'm in the middle of one of the damn circles. Son of a beach. Oh god. Do. You can't have none. You can't have none. See? I see. Oh god. Yeah, he's gotten exponentially so much closer than that. It is very terrifying. He does not want to snuggle with you. He just wants to consume you. That's kind of it. That's kind of it. While we're here, let's get some blood. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's do it. Dunk. Nobody's here. Calm down. I just missed. My first shot ever. And he's dead. Oh, yeah. Give me the sweet, sweet blood. We get 2,000 per? Nice. We upgraded our blood extractor as well. Sweet. Hello.
Who goes there?
Not me. Who goes there? Instantly dies. Holy hell. Sir? Sir. Sir. Calm down. That shreds through ammo. Holy crap. Do.
Weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
A large sandstorm is approaching. Sweet. 2 minutes. Oh god. We're gonna have to haul ass. Although, I forgot we're here, so we can just... Unsheltered? Sheltered. Okay, great. Enclosed. Ooh, perfect. Drink. Damn. You know what I'm gonna do? I want to confirm this, like, live, right? Here's what we're gonna do. Let me grab this. Let me head back to my base since it's right there. This audio popping is just it's like getting worse, and I don't know why. So what I'm gonna do, keeping it with the theme of Dune, anyways. Before you buy, or Game Ranks rather, they just released a before you buy video, and I love watching their videos even after I've already purchased the product. That's how good their videos are. They're generally about 10 to 15 minutes long. So what I'm gonna do,
Sector weather alert.
we're gonna
A
get
large
inside of our
sandstorm
base
is
so
approaching.
nothing gets shredded while we're offline. Yeah. Get out of my way. That can get shredded. That can get the hell out of here. We're gonna watch that. I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna log out, log back in. Here. Just make sure. Cha-ching. Alright, cool. Because this is some shit. I'm not into it. I'm not. You know what? Here. Let's make it official, right? Although that does nothing, so I'd have to fully restart, and I'm not doing that. Yep. Blip. Blip. Do. Alright, let's do it. Let's test the audio.
Can he complete the comeback he's going to try? Please shoot! Welcome back to another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions on the latest games releasing. Our boys at Funcom are at it again with...
Oh my god, it is still crackling. Oh god, I'm scared. I'm scared. What's our battery at? Maybe we have low battery. We have low battery. 48%. That's not low. That's not that low. Nope, that's not it. Well then, what the shit, dude? Like, what? Don't tell me my capture card is pooping on me. That could be one of 1,000 things. That's why I hate audio stuff. I hate it. It could be the motherboard. It could be a pin. It could be the RAM. It could be your mom. It could be anything. Come fly away. It's sail away, but you know, I never agreed with that. I never agreed with that. Oh, you know what? Oh, hey, Dune's available, if you didn't realize. Boom. Boom. Yeah. So many things popping up. So many things. Good God. I want this open while I'm using Chrome right now. That'll be the real test. That'll be the real test. Where'd he go?
Welcome back to another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions on the latest games releasing. Our boys at Funcom are at it again with a kind of sort of follow-up to Conan Exiles. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks we're talking Dune Awakening. I'm just gonna be frank here. When I first heard about this project, I was kind of skeptical. I don't know if you've heard the videos in which I make jokes about its release date. Dune was going to wake up, but it got delayed, so it went back to sleep for a little while. I don't know, I make fun of it. Part of it is, it's Dune. Frank Herbert left field, but it seems a little odd at first glance. Or it did. That's how I used to feel, at least. Because now, having spent some time with the game, I'm willing to eat a little crow on it, because the game does make sense. It might actually capture the feeling of Dune in a way no other game has up till this point. Not saying it's without its flaws, but if you like survival games, there's a lot to like here. Now, before I start really drilling down here, I want to make clear that this is going to be much more of a first impressions than a full review. Awakening has been available. I'm only really getting into it, so my experience with the game is super limited compared to... So don't take this as some kind of definitive judgment on the entire experience. It's more of an early impressions, but so far my impressions have far exceeded my initial expectations. So Dune Awakening takes place on a very different Arrakis, one where the main character was never born. The changes in how the story plays out are pretty significant, and it does a lot to justify what's going on in the game. There's a reason why the planet's full of bandits and raiders and enemy soldiers who stab you or gun you down or whatever. It's a simple premise that alters the nature of the setting, along with the disappearance of the Fremen. Yeah, there's no Fremen in the game, at least at first, which might sound sacrilege to a Dune fan, but it's kind of necessary for the world building they're doing here, which is appropriately brutal and strange for what we've come to expect from Dune. At least the appearance of the Fremen it's a plot point. It's not like they're just not here. There's a reason they're gone. One thing I think the game immediately captures that most Dune video games don't is the weird but epic tone of these stories. The recent Dune movies did a really, really good job of making this universe both understandable and also very alien in a way that's both intriguing
Dude,
and intentionally off.
The second I
this
move
game
my mouse
also does that
on my
very
streaming
well,
PC,
especially
it
when you're doing
fucking
stuff like
wigs.
interacting with the
What is
Bene
that?
Gesserit sisterhood or exploring an interactive dream sequence. There's a lot of vague mystical
What is
language and
that?
proper nouns thrown
We're
around.
sitting
but
at
they somehow managed to make
60
it intriguing
FPS
rather
for
than
stream.
annoying. That's just the Dune
Zero drop
difference.
frames.
The
for
actual
watch.
plot, for what
I'm
it
gonna
is
move,
very
I'm
simple.
gonna
You
move my
play as a
streaming
character,
PC's mouse.
custom character,
58 frames.
sent to Dune to
45
locate the
frames.
lost Fremen. Your transport ship gets
What?
shut down in the desert,
What is
and
that?
you got to survive. And there's a lot more going on here than you normally get in a
What is
survival
that?
game, though. There's NPCs to talk to, a lot of quests to undertake, there's factions to join, open world PvP. Frankly, it's a huge game with a lot going on, and that's because it's not your average solo experience. It's
Streamlabs.
an MMO. It's not your classic
shit is
massive one
ass.
with thousands of players
That's
on
what
the
it
same server
is.
at the same time. Servers are split into a lot of sub-servers, so you
I need to
only
switch
really
to
have like
OBS.
40,
It's
50
been a long
players
time
each.
coming.
So you're not gonna see other players all the time in normal zones. But when you get to the end game stuff, that's when the game starts drawing players from all the mini servers together. It sounds like it might be a confusing mess, but this is how a lot of MMOs operate these days, and for the most part, it actually seems to work pretty well. It does mean the game's online only. I'd prefer if they took the Conan Exiles route and made it so you can play on servers or play solo if you want, but at least the servers have been stable in my experience, and it's only taken a few seconds to log in every time. One thing I really appreciate about Dune Awakening is how it actually leans into the setting for not just the visuals, which are fantastic, but also the survival mechanics. The only real meter you have to worry about here is thirst. There's no hunger at all. Food doesn't need to be consumed to survive. You don't have to worry about sleep or disease or any of that crap, just water. But you're on a desert planet, so that's kind of, not the easiest thing.
We started with 3 flavors, and there was a certain point where we're just like, why don't we make more flavors? And so,
right? There's dew plants that can give you just enough hydration to avoid an early death, but your main source of water in the game is from blood, and that means combat. And in Dune Awakening, there's a lot of combat. Getting resources often means raiding a lot of crash sites, ruins, bandit camps, faction checkpoints across the desert, looting them for their sweet, sweet loot. Lots of essential resources can only be found by doing this specifically. So these bases, they're full of enemies, so they're a great source of blood. So you're going to be raiding camps often.
Oh, I do
Combat,
love blood.
Unavoidable. You're going to be doing it all the time.
All right,
Which
I
in this
think
case, it's great because it's a big
I haven't
improvement
updated
over
my
Conan
streaming
Exiles.
PC in like forever.
The
I
close
always
range
forget
combat doesn't
that.
feel
I'll like
as good to
make
control
sure
as a dedicated action game
everything's
per
up to date
se,
on my
but it's
gaming
functional.
PC.
It does a great job replicating
But when it
the
comes
film.
to my
And getting
streaming
a slow
PC,
stab
it's
through an
kind of
enemy
like
shield it's
the
super
middle
satisfying.
child of
Ranged
the, you know what I
combat,
mean?
however,
Just neglected,
surprisingly punchy and
forgotten.
powerful. And this is where you're going to be doing most of this time
I think
because,
that's what happened.
that's
So
just how this works.
what I should do, I should end stream and just update everything, make sure it's all good to go, because I've realized I haven't in a while. Windows updates, NVIDIA GPU stuff. It's not good. Whoops. Listen. I never claimed to be a good parent of my PCs. All right. I never claimed that. I never said it.
Vampires in this game. I'm calling you
That's exactly what it is. So damn it.
I don't really know why I am.
Why?
Anyways,
Why can't I
base
just
building. Pretty
be
good.
forgetful and
Solid.
things work
It's
out?
simple enough that it doesn't feel like
Why?
a chore, but there's enough.
So,
depth
all right,
that
I
you
gotta
do
do
have to
that.
think about what
I
you're
gotta
doing.
get everything
Base
updated.
upkeep,
That's
essential.
I've
You need to keep the power
damn
running
it.
so the shields
Damn it.
protect your base from deadly storms. You need extra water for ore refining and a dedicated space.
So,
to store
all right,
vehicles.
I'll have to end
In a lot
stream.
of ways,
Damn it. All right,
the
well,
survival
hey,
elements of Dune
at least we
feel a
found it
lot
out,
like
right? At least
Subnautica,
now we
only
have the
rather than
problem.
underwater, you're in a desert.
Now we can fix
Instead
it.
of worry about drowning, your
I mean,
concern
watching
running out of
videos is
water.
fine.
There's a
I
big
just can't-
emphasis
I can't do anything
on
else
going
right
on
now.
excursions,
Why is it
loading
so
up your
loud?
supplies,
Good
getting on
God.
a vehicle, going out as far as you can to collect as many
I
resources.
put it up
and then
6
heading back.
slots,
Actually
and it's
building
like
bases. It's simple.
insane.
You just need rock for the walls, and that stuff is everywhere. Resource collecting in general is pretty
goddamn.
painless as far as survival games go. You locate a resource node, and you're good to go. These things drop a lot of stuff
to go.
each, so you're never wasting
Good to good.
hours just spending all your time on getting resources. The game helpfully tells you where certain resources are found on the map too, so getting what you need, it's not a chore. The emphasis on doing excursions
it is very
gives
much a chore.
Dune
What are you talking
unique
about?
strategy. Survival split between long-term goals like keeping your vehicles repaired and your base in good working order, and short-term dangers like the many hazards of Arrakis and the constant threat of running out of water. They do a great job making the planet itself feel dangerous. And I'm not just talking about like the sandworm here. Just being out in direct sunlight feels like a threat. Just being out too long builds up heat stroke, and that can quickly drain your hydration meter, leave you weakened, possibly dying. The game also makes absolutely fantastic use of global illumination, really drives home that sun-baked look of the world, but it also makes your safe spaces like shift throughout the day. In general, it's also a lot safer to go out at night. There's still a lot to worry about, but yeah. On top of the heat, there's radiation, there's quicksand, there's drum sand, and that can draw the attention of the sandworm quicker. There's also spice blowouts that destroy anything nearby, deadly sandstorms that can appear with very little warning. They're highly damaging. They slow your movement to a crawl. And that's just natural hazards. There's enemy patrol ships hunting you down. They shoot you if you pass through their spotlights. That sucks. But of course, the biggest threat is the sandworm. And this thing is a lot more elaborate than I assumed it was going to be. I assumed it would work basically like any other game with a static threat like this. It'd just appear if you spent too long walking around the desert. But it's a lot more complex than that. The word has an actual physical presence in the world. It moves around on its own. It actually chases you down when it hears sound. So if it's close, it's much more likely to catch you out of the sand. That means you can actually see the worm moving around, too, breaching occasionally, and it's a spectacle to see every time. Just in general, Dune Awakening looks fantastic across the board, and the design of the desert, the design of the character models, just
hey, what's up, Mike? Good to see you, bud.
It looks real good. There's a little jankiness on account of it being an online game, but
there is a little jankiness, but you know what? It gives it its charm. It says, hope you're doing great, mate. Hell yeah, man. Good to see you, dude. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you had a good weekend.
A big step up, though, is the climbing, which works the same in Dune as it is in Conan. It's not much better.
Once you get those belts that give you that anti-gravity stuff, it's fantastic.
Even if they're adding some stuff like anti-gravity and grappling hooks that make getting around the world a lot easier, like the powers really deserve a shout out here. Depending on your class, you can get access to some different abilities, and they're for the most part really fun and powerful to use. I really had fun with the soldier class, grappling around in the battlefield.
Stellar Blade releasing on PC tomorrow, dude.
The powers make combat a lot more interesting, and even if some of them honestly
think
do
of the mods,
raise my eyebrows a bit
the mods.
from a Dune perspective. One of the player classes is Benny Gesserit, and you can play as either a male or a female character.
Got a bargain the complete edition for $59.99 on CDs. Wait, what are they charging for?
The whole point is that it's an anomaly that the main character can do it. Obviously, your player character is supposed to be special in this game and kind of a stand-in for the actual Dune main character. But in practice, that means there can be dozens of people running around with what's supposed to be a one-of-a-kind power.
Oh, is it a different edition?
Rated M for
yeah,
mature.
80. Oh, okay. Yeah, nice, dude. Oh my god. Oh, yeah. Okay, I gotta stop myself because I'm just gonna end up watching that whole trailer. What is this?
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's your usual MMO storytelling issue where there's thousands of chosen ones occupying the same space.
Nice,
really
dude. Yeah, dude, the music's so good.
Have to go with it.
Just
there
so
is
good.
At least a story to follow in this game. It's not just endless raiding.
I'm probably just gonna.
And while the actual base building component does start to get a little more complicated, I really like how streamlined everything is here. There's a dedicated button for immediately dumping everything in your inventory into storage, and everything necessary for crafting gets automatically pulled from your storage containers. So they completely cut out all of the tedious inventory management that so many survival games still have. If there's one survival game
demo
out
is
there,
so great.
Fine,
goes on for a while too.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's good.
If there's 100, none of it makes sense. And
That's
there's
good.
way more than 100. Other thing here, every
I don't think I've
crafting
completed
station
the demo
has
yet
its
either.
own small inventory.
I
So
don't think
stuff
so.
like refined ore doesn't need to be collected from the machine. You can just use it
Are
immediately.
we
after
loading
it's
up the
finished
demo?
refining. To me, this is
for
the ideal crafting
Stellar Blade?
system.
Is that what's
There's
happening?
a little micromanagement, especially later on when you start needing a lot more specialized
I did very
resources,
high with
but
4K
it's been
graphics
cut to a
options, so
minimum,
great.
like
It was
there's
very
not a
high
lot of
then 4K
sorting and
textures.
It's great. And that means you can focus on the
Sweet,
stuff in the
sweet
game that you
4K.
want to
Hell
do,
yeah, dude.
rather than
Hell
spending
yeah.
hours shifting through the garbage trying to collect the exact
It's such a
piece of
difference from
scrap
1440p.
some recipe requires. You get all the benefits of base building a survival game without all of the tedium. And like I said, tedium can work in certain games. I feel like the streamlining here works in service of what they're doing, which is much more about planning and prep than careful base management. The base, it's necessary to make the game's excursion-based gameplay work. It's not a game where you're expected to just putter around your base forever, so it's good that they don't make you spend all of your time on the base. Another concern I had going in was environmental design. I mean, how can you make a survival game set in Dune, which is just endless sand? And I'll say, after playing for a while, yeah, it's basically that. But they did an admirable job trying to make each biome feel unique while essentially just being more rocks and sand. It helps that there's a lot of different factions and groups, and they've all moved in, and there's abandoned wrecks with fallout-like hidden bunkers everywhere. So
you can
exploration
update
is
drivers while
actually
streaming.
interesting
Let me try
and
that. It's not recommended, but
quests generally are pretty basic. You have the usual go here and get stuff things. But the location design,
I'm sorry.
It's
going to be a little disruptive here for a second.
I'm sorry. Out there, you find them their little stories on their own. The game manages to fill out the world of Dune in a way I don't even know if other Dune games have ever even attempted.
I am streaming on very outdated drivers
into the great houses, but this game fills in a lot of blanks elsewhere, like planetologists, researchers, explorers, all kinds of characters. They're just out doing their own thing. And I'm not going to say the voice work is always stellar. Some of the audio logs sound like temp tracks, but most of it's pretty good. It's solid, at least. If I have anything to complain about, it's just the MMO-ness of the whole thing. When you get to the open world PvP stuff and the faction warfare is happening, it might start making a little more sense, but at least early in the game, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, it doesn't bring a lot to the table. When you first get stranded on Arrakis,
I'm gonna try to cheat. I'm gonna try to update my drivers without ending stream. We'll see how it goes.
Who were there first. Arrakis in Dune Awakening feels less like a hostile and untouched land and more like a dead mall or an abandoned housing development. There's bases everywhere, and while I appreciate that it's easy to tell them apart from the points of interest, it does kind of break the immersion if there's so many of them all over the place, often just a few yards away from a bandit camp. You rarely, if ever, see other players outside of the trading post, but when they do appear, it can kind of kill whatever immersion you're feeling. Like if you're deep in an abandoned ship, listening to audio logs to find out what's going on, picking up keys to enter previously untouched areas of the ship, only to find two other guys have already cleared out the final area. It kind of kills whatever build
the big moments.
Some
areas
click
feel install.
Like
we'll see what happens.
The way they build up some big twist or surprise at the end. But if all the enemies are dead, kind of ruins whatever they're building up to. Stuff like this would probably work better as being their own instances.
All right, here
that
goes.
Can only be played in single player or with a dedicated team.
We might break it.
Just letting people run.
We might break the stream.
You know, whatever. It just kills the suspense.
We're installing.
It's not a huge issue, but it's an issue. The player counts are relatively.
It's gonna be a little bumpy.
Instance or server or whatever we're calling these, but it does stand out when it happens. Outside of some annoyances, with this being an MMO in the first place, everything else is just, it's been great. I noticed a little slowdown, probably from the server, nothing too major. I had no problems logging in. As far as online-only games go, this has been a real smooth experience. That's not to say the game's issue-free. I experienced one crash to desktop, and there's a fair share of janky animations and visual bugs, but it's nothing close to what Conan Exiles had and still has. Compared to that game, Dune Awakening is a really, really stable game, and overall a big step up. So overall, my impressions of Dune Awakening are really positive overall. I'm having a lot of fun with this one. If you're a massive Dune nerd, some of the things they chose to interpret here are probably going to bug you, but even still, I think there's a lot more good than bad with the storytelling. I think they really managed to capture the feel of Dune in a unique way. The survival stuff, it's clever and thematic. The combat's consistently entertaining. The world is bleak and beautiful, and just overall polished and a complete package for what you're paying for. I was skeptical about this.